Alright, Peggy, here's a quick video on how I use developer tools to inspect a website as I work on developing it. So here I have my website. I have Adobe Dreamweaver open up in another monitor, and I have the live preview. Here you can see it's giving me a local address. So to inspect this website or to use developer tools, you go and you inspect. And the first thing, if you see this little guy here, this lets you select a specific item on that page to inspect. So for example, this little navigation doohickey here, that's for the testing grid. See, when I click on it, it takes me over here, and that's the part of the HTML code that has to do with that. Then I go a little wider here. See, this is the CSS that's involved with this item. So with this tool you can easily see what is what on a page. For example, here I go to the grids, and you see how my grid is highlighted. Likewise here, you scroll over something and you can see the main body in blue, and then the yellow area is the padding that element has. Again, here you can see the grid that I've laid out for my positioning. Now for the real fun part, using this tool to develop responsive websites. Up here you'll notice this icon that looks like a phone and a tablet. You click on that, and wow, now we're seeing how it will look on an iPhone X. This gives you the dimensions of the item you're emulating right now. This here lets you cycle through different mobile devices that they have set up as presets. So that will be an iPad Pro. This is the rotate button, so we're looking at it portrait. Now this is what it would look like landscape on an iPad or an iPad Pro. Let's switch to iPad Mini. Switching to different phones. And this is what I was talking about with my navigation, where I've changed it from, let's look at it, this would be high definition TV. As you can see, pixels dimension of 1920 by 1080. So that's a pretty big screen. Here I have my navigation static, where it doesn't move, but my content, my navigation takes you to the different content that would be there. You know, obviously right now all it's got is all the different Latin speak, but that will come later. Then the final thing you can do with this is just to set it to responsive. And what that does, it lets you play around with creating whatever dimensions you want. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of a lag when you do this, because it has to completely recalculate how it's going to display your content. So that's the gist of using developer tools to plan your website. since this is a live preview, I can go back here and make changes to my code. You see how I just blew everything up by making the font size too big. But yeah, basically whenever I'm working on a page, I have the same page open like this, so I'm always checking what it's doing. Now, one more thing about this, Firefox also has developer tools, and one good thing I like about theirs is if you're working with a grid layout and trying to position things, you go to Chrome or to their developer tools, and you see how it lets you display the grid and your grid lines and your grid numbers. So that can come in a little handy if you're trying to if you're having a hard time figuring out what your coordinates for your grid would be. Here it spells it out for you. Other than that, I really do prefer Chrome for the responsive tools. Firefox lets you, it's a lot slower, as you can see. It's and it only gives you the one responsive screen, where it does let you rotate it, but it doesn't have device presets like Chrome does, which I like, because realistically, you know, with responsive, there's going to be a lot of positions where, you know, there's no device that comes that small or those dimensions. So, you know, I don't know if it's really worthwhile testing through all of that, when really what you want to see is, you know, how does it look like on a phone? How does it look like on a phone when I flip it over? How does it look like on a tablet? And so forth and so forth. Well, I hope you like this video, and that it'll help you out when you get to coding starting next week. It's a really powerful tool, and it's also a really good way when you see somebody's website to open it up with this and start really inspecting how it's put together, what they do and how they do it. Along with viewing the code, you can pretty much figure out exactly what they got going on in there. So that's my video. I hope it wasn't a waste of your time. Enjoy.